My eyes opened in response to the sharp sound that pierced through my ears. I blinked a few times, pressing my eyes in an effort to focus. I awoke to a dim pulsating light that cast an otherworldly glow across the metallic interior of the spaceship. My senses slowly returned. The hum of the ship's machinery reverberated through my ears. Confusion clouded my mind as I surveyed the unfamiliar surroundings. The metallic walls of the spacecraft seemed to close in, echoing with the eerie silence of deep space. I felt a pervasive soreness, like every muscle in my body had rusted into place during the cold embrace of cryosleep. The weight of a century pressed down on me, a relentless reminder that time had passed, leaving me in a disoriented state between the past and present. As I swung my legs over the edge of the cryopod, the frosted glass slowly lifted, revealing the eerie ambience of the spaceship. The artificial gravity pulled me into an unsteady dance, my limbs resisting attempts to regain balance. A wave of dizziness swept over me, disorienting and overwhelming. For a moment, I clung to the edge of the pod, a lone astronaut awakening in the cosmic ocean after a century-long voyage. The room, bathed in a cold, sterile light, felt both familiar and alien, a relic of a bygone era preserved in the hibernation of time. My breath, ragged and uneven, filled the air as I steadied myself, attempting to make sense of the disconcerting awakening. It was then that a subtle hint of memory brushed against the fog of confusion. Cryopod. I had been in a cryopod, a vessel designed to carry me through the vast reaches of space in suspended animation. The realization anchored me in the present, connecting the disjointed fragments of my consciousness. I stumbled toward the observation window, my movements awkward and uncertain, as I had forgotten how to walk. After all, it had been ages since I had last taken a step. The vast expanse of space greeted me with an endless panorama of distant stars, a sight unchanged by the passage of a century. As I gazed into the cosmic abyss, a sense of awe mingled with the haunting realization that I had been suspended in this void for far longer than any human should. As I interfaced with the ship's control panel, symbols and data scrolled across the screens, offering a cryptic insight into our celestial voyage. Amidst the digital dance, a persistent beeping caught my attention, a rhythmic pulse that seemed to echo the heartbeat of the spaceship itself. My eyes narrowed as I focused on the source of the sound. It was a clock, a countdown of when everyone else in the cryopods would awake. Beep, beep, beep. An irregular pattern that disrupted the ominous silence. I watched the digits flip in rhythm next to everyone else's name in the list, all except mine. There was a blank next to Captain Daniel Dan Marshall. That's when I realized. Why did I awake before the rest? The crew, a diverse assembly of military personnel, scientists, astronauts, and physicists, were all timed to wake simultaneously. It was a ballet of consciousness, carefully choreographed to synchronize with our impending arrival. A sense of disquiet settled over me. Was it a glitch in the system? A quirk of technology? Or something more profound? Was it the screeching sound that woke me up? Half an hour until the others wake up. I try to offer myself some comfort. I must admit, it didn't help that much, but I needed to focus on other things. My gaze flickered to the second countdown timer on the screen, a digital herald counting down the minutes to our planetary descent. 3 hours remained until the ship's descent into the unknown planet below. I surveyed the dormant cryopods that lined the spaceship's interior. Each pod housed a slumbering occupant, a guardian of knowledge and expertise chosen to unravel the mysteries of the Dorado constellation. The military personnel, clad in sleek uniforms, lay alongside the scientists, astronauts, and physicists. An interstellar dream team assembled for the cosmic odyssey. I was briefly distracted by the white text on the screen in front of me. December 15, 2123. Almost 100 years in a few hours. I recalled everything that had happened before I had climbed into the cryopod. Project Celestial Echo. I vividly recall the day when a familiar voice crackled through my secure comm link, jolting me from the routine of my earthly life.
Dan?
Said the voice, a senior friend from my Air Force days, Colonel Richard Rick Hawkins. His words were measured, but I wasn't sure why. We had different ranks in the Air Force, but we were good friends. Hey Rick. I decided to match his tone.
Dan, it's been a while.
He began, his tone implying a shared history, shrouded in classified conversations and covert operations.
I need you for something big. Something beyond the scope of anything you've ever imagined.
I listened intently, the gravity of Rick's words echoing through the receiver. He spoke of a mission, an interstellar endeavor that would redefine humanity's understanding of the cosmos. As he unveiled the details of Project Celestial Echo, I felt the tendrils of destiny wrap around me, pulling me into a narrative that unfolded beyond the reach of terrestrial comprehension.
Can we speak in person? I would like to share the details with you as soon as I can.
Rick asked formally. Of course. When is a good time for you?
I'm right outside.
Rick cut me. I laughed and shook my head. Typical Rick. You should have just rung the bell, asshole.
I didn't know if you were home, or even awake, or if you had company.
There was a hint of playfulness to Rick's voice. Without wasting a second, I opened the door and welcomed Rick in. I grabbed 2 cans of beer from my fridge and handed one to Rick. He was dressed in his uniform. Coming straight from duty? I raised my eyebrows. Rick nodded. We've detected anomalous signals from the Dorado constellation. Intelligence signals then. Our facility in the US has been working tirelessly to decode them. We finally traced them to the TOI 700 star system. Specifically, a planet in orbit, TOI 700e. Anomalous signals? You're telling me we've got cosmic mysteries on our hands? I asked, astonished. That was something I could not even have imagined. More than mysteries then. We're talking about signals with purpose. Intelligent signals. It's bigger than any of us. It took us 15 fucking years to understand that it wasn't just random. That it meant something. I could hear Rick's exasperation. Rick handed me a thick file, filled with documents with paragraphs and bullet points. I flipped through the paperwork, my eyes scanning paragraphs thick with legal jargon. Non-disclosure agreements, classified briefings, and a pledge of allegiance to a mission shrouded in shadows. I knew that I could trust Rick with my life. So, I signed away on all the papers while we talked. I asked, straightforward, "What exactly are we dealing with here, Rick? You're being cryptic, even for you." Rick replied, "The signals are a form of communication. Like I said before, it took us a lot longer to find out that it's a message, a deliberate attempt to reach us. TOI 700e seems to be at the heart of it all. It orbits a red dwarf in Dorado." How did we not notice this before, Rick? What's so special about TOI 700e? I wondered out loud. Why not make it public? Because it's not exactly a friendly attempt to reach us. If you ask me, I think it's a warning or an announcement. Rick scratched his chin. I let that sink in before I spoke again. What makes you think it's not friendly? Whoever or whatever is trying to communicate with us. The signals were translated and deciphered. I didn't like it. Rick shuddered. What do you mean? I pressed for details. Rick was quiet for a few seconds before he began to speak again. We heard a faint, "You next." Rick didn't meet my gaze. It was hard to believe any of this was real. There's more. Rick continued. We recorded multiple star and nearby planet debris, all at the same time, even though they weren't related by any event. None that we know of. The only logical explanation we could come up with was that all of those stars and planets were destroyed, or they exploded at the same time. You need to lay it down in simpler terms for me, man. I sighed, struggling to keep up with everything. The time it takes for lights from objects in space to reach Earth means that when we look at planets, stars and galaxies, we're actually looking back at the events that happened in the past. The timing is too weird for this to have been a random event. I listened to him intently, and a shiver went down my spine just imagining it. I broke the silence and changed the question. Why me, Rick? Why now? Rick smirked. It was refreshing to see him smile in the middle of a heavy conversation. You've got the right mix of military discipline and scientific curiosity. And besides, old friend, who else could I trust with this? Fair enough. You're sure we're not stumbling into some extraterrestrial minefield? Rick nodded. We've considered the risks then, but the potential rewards for humanity, the knowledge we could gain, it's worth the leap into the unknown. Maybe it's more inhabitable than the shithole we've made of Earth. After that, I found myself at the center of a global endeavor. Project Celestial Echo, a collaboration between the United States and space agencies from around the world. It was almost ironic that extraterrestrial threat is what aligned all of us. Not compassion, not humanity, just survival. I moved to a secure training compound, nestled within the rugged landscapes of the American Southwest, a stone's throw from the heart of the nation's space program. When I arrived, I was ushered into a room that would become my sanctuary during the intense training regimen. The room was Spartan, utilitarian furniture, a bed, a table, and a chair. The absence of distractions created an environment conducive to singular focus, a sanctuary where thoughts could converge on the mission I was there for. My first training was with Dr. Samantha Turner, a seasoned astronaut and one of the key figures in our training regimen. Dr. Turner welcomed me into the cold, uncomfortable white-collar room. Captain Marshall, welcome to the Crucible. We're not just training for space travel, we're preparing for the unknown. Follow my lead, and you might just make it through. That was all it took for me to follow along. Our days began with simulated zero-gravity environments. I floated through confined spaces, learning to navigate the spacecraft with fluid precision. The sensation of weightlessness, initially disorienting, became a dance with the cosmos, a choreography of movement dictated by the laws of microgravity. Feels like learning to walk again, I said, astonished. Dr. Turner smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. In a way it is. You'll have to rewire your instincts, Captain. Out there, gravity won't be your guiding force. From 0G, we transitioned to high G training, subjecting ourselves to the forces that would tug at our bodies during acceleration and deceleration in space. Strapped into centrifuges, we endured the pressure that would test the limits of our physical resilience. Can we go back to training at 0G? This feels like an elephant sitting on my chest. I heaved, struggling to catch my breath. Dr. Turner, seemingly unfazed, replied, Get used to it, Captain. We'll be pushing far beyond Earth's gravitational embrace. Survival training followed. The harsh conditions of terrestrial environments meant to prepare us for any unforeseen challenges that might await us on distant planets. The regimen extended to psychological assessments where the isolation and confinement of deep space were simulated. We learned to cope with the psychological toll of absolute solitude, a crucial preparation for the lengthy journey ahead. How do you keep your sanity out there, Doc? I asked Dr. Samantha. She looked at me, deep in thought. You find solace in the vastness, embrace the isolation, and let the stars be your companion. As we trained, the boundaries between disciplines blurred. Astronauts exchanged insights with military personnel, and scientists shared their knowledge with a collective spirit that transcended individual expertise. It's like assembling the Avengers, but for space, I joked. Dr. Turner replied, It wouldn't be wrong to put it that way. The regimen wasn't just physical, it delved into the realm of intellectual preparedness. We engaged in rigorous problem-solving exercises, anticipating the unforeseen challenges that might arise during our interstellar journey. The next phase of our training plunged us into simulated space environments, a surreal amalgamation of advanced technology and harsh landscapes meant to prepare us for the alien terrains we might encounter on TOI 700E. The air inside the training dome crackled with an artificial ambience, a blend of synthesized atmospheres mimicking distant planets. This time, Dr. Andrew Glenn led our training, his voice cutting through the hum of machinery. Captain Marshall, welcome to the extraterrestrial sandbox. Today, we simulate the conditions of TOI 700E, reddish hue, thin atmosphere, and terrain unlike anything you've seen on Earth. Our boots made contact with the synthetic soil, a blend of alien compounds designed to mimic the unpredictable surfaces of distant planets. But this feels a lot like Earth, doesn't it? I asked, baffled. Yes, but there are some differences, mainly in the atmosphere to make sure you can acclimatize to it properly and can survive if there is a minor change in the nitrogen or oxygen level. The landscape shifted, transitioning from rocky surfaces to vast, desolate plains that stretched beyond the horizon. Are we expecting barren landscapes out there? I inquired. Dr. Klein responded. No, not based on the data we have collected so far. As we traversed the alien landscape, the training incorporated tasks such as setting up makeshift habitats, collecting samples, and conducting experiments, all crucial elements for our mission success. On TOI 700E, survival won't be a game. We need to be prepared as best we can, Dr. Klein warned. We engaged in submersible drills, preparing for the possibility of encountering liquid environments on the alien planet. Submersibles in space? That's a first, I said jokingly. But Dr. Klein didn't entertain it. TO 700E could have oceans, lakes, who knows? We're covering all our bases. Throughout the training and simulations, I stayed inside the compound, barely talking to anyone except Turner and Glenn, sometimes Rick. He would come by every now and then and catch me up on what the progress with the spaceship was. The scientists were wrapping up their faster-than-light travel technology in a facility they called the Nexus. The facility resembled a futuristic think tank, a symphony of ideas echoing through corridors lined with cutting-edge equipment and holographic displays. Dr. Akira Tanaka, a visionary physicist, led the charge. His eyes gleamed with a fervor that mirrored the boundless possibilities of space. The Nexus buzzed with activity, scientists engaged in animated discussions, holographic equations floating above their heads as they scribbled and typed furiously. The heart of our interstellar vessel was a breakthrough propulsion system, a fusion of theoretical physics and experimental engineering. Dr. Tanaka and his team tirelessly worked to overcome the immense challenges posed by the vast distances of interstellar space. Dr. Tanaka introduced everyone to the vessel a day before the launch. Meet the quantum propulsion matrix. It's not just about speed, it's about folding space itself. The holographic display unveiled intricate diagrams illustrating the manipulation of space-time. The propulsion system promised to compress the fabric of the cosmos, creating a shortcut that defied the limitations of traditional space travel. It all looked like something taken out of a sci-fi novel, but it was right in front of my eyes. According to our calculations, we should reach the planet sooner. How soon? I asked. 100 years. That's sooner? How long would it normally take? I gaped. Dr. Tanaka shrugged. A lot longer. I don't know exactly how much. Another critical aspect of our technology unfolded: innovations in life support. Dr. Eva Rodriguez, a pioneer in biotechnological engineering, took the responsibility to ensure our vessel could sustain human life across the vastness of space. She showcased advanced bioregeneration modules, artificial ecosystems designed to recycle and regenerate vital resources. Of course, there were plenty of cryopods placed for us to be put under sleep in. A launch day dawned, a day of anticipation and significance. The launch site stood as a testament to human ingenuity, a modern marvel against the backdrop of the cosmic abyss that beckoned us. The morning sky bore witness to a symphony of colors, a palette of dawn hues blending with the steel and lights of the launch pad. I stood in the shadow of our interstellar vessel, a sleek embodiment of human determination and technological prowess. It's surreal, Rick. After all the training, all the preparations, today we take our first step into the cosmic unknown. Rick nodded in agreement. The launch site buzzed with activity, a global audience watching as our vessel, adorned with the flags of participating nations, stood poised on the launch pad. The world held its breath, bound by the collective heartbeat of human ambition. The only difference was that the public had absolutely no idea where we were headed and why. The PR had told them that we had found signs of liquid water and sustainable levels of oxygen in the atmosphere. At least their joy was a positive aspect. To the stars and beyond, I whispered as I stepped into the vessel along with the rest of the team. Rick bumped my shoulder, smiling. To the unknown, Captain. In the final moments before entering the cryopods, the team underwent a series of meticulous checks. Medical personnel ensured that vitals were optimal, and one by one, we entered our designated cryopods, the sleek doors sealing us with a cocoon of technological marvel. The interior, a minimalist arrangement, featured a cushioned bed and a console for final adjustments. As I reclined within the pod, the cool mist enveloped me, signaling the beginning of the cryogenic process. The pod's lid gently closed, obscuring the chamber's surroundings and sealing me in solitude. I heard Dr. Rodriguez's voice through the intercom.
We are ready to initiate cryogenic stasis. Sweet dreams, everyone. See you in 100 years.
I didn't get to hear the grand commencement or our taking off. Maybe it was for the better. Coming back to the present, I noticed how quickly the time had gone by, and the rest were going to wake up in a matter of a few seconds. The cryopods hissed open, and the team emerged, groggy yet exhilarated. Dr. Turner, the first to step out, conducted a quick assessment of our vital signs. The excitement in the air was palpable as we made our way to the control room. The interstellar vessel descended gratefully through the planet's atmosphere, providing a panoramic view of the lush, Earth-like landscape awaiting our exploration. As the ship landed with a gentle thud, we hurriedly suited up in our exploration gear, anticipation mounting with every passing second. The airlock hissed open, and we stepped onto the alien soil. The atmosphere was rich with the familiar scent of Earth, and the landscape sprawled out before us like a canvas painted by nature itself. Verdant fields, towering trees, and distant mountain ranges beckoned us to explore. As we ventured deeper, the uncanny resemblance to Earth became even more apparent. The alien birds sang melodious tunes, and the rustling leaves created a symphony of nature that echoed familiarity. In an open field, we stumbled upon the source of the mysterious radio signals, a monolith, an enigmatic structure that stood in stark contrast to the natural beauty surrounding it. Its surface emitted an otherworldly hum, drawing us closer. Dr. Tanaka spoke in awe. "This is incredible. It's like nothing we've ever seen." As one of the crew members tentatively touched the monolith, a ripple of energy surged through the landscape. The once vibrant world began to wither before our eyes. Lush forests transformed into skeletal remnants, and the air turned thick with an alien toxicity. The shock reverberated through the team as we retreated from the barren landscape. Rick and I looked at each other. "What just happened? This isn't the same planet we landed on." We knew something was wrong. A sudden barrage of earthquakes shook the desolate terrain. Fissures opened in the ground, threatening to swallow everything in their wake. Panic set in as we sprinted back to the spacecraft, each step echoing the urgency of escaping this once hospitable planet turned nightmarish. I yelled at the top of my lungs. "We need to get out of here!" With adrenaline-fueled haste, we boarded the spacecraft, the airlocks sealing behind us just as the planetary fissures reached the landing site. "Hold on!" Dr. Rodriguez yelled. The engines roared to life, and the vessel ascended from the dying planet, leaving behind the devastation below. The crew watched through the ship's windows as CO.700E convulsed, an unsettling prelude to an imminent cosmic upheaval. As the ship ascended, a colossal cosmic being emerged from a colossal chasm created by the earthquakes. Its form defied comprehension, a behemoth of cosmic proportions crawling forth with an almost ethereal grace. "What in the universe is that?" Dr. Turner gasped. The sight left the crew in shock and awe, their gazes locked on the cosmic spectacle unfolding below. The cosmic being then manifested itself in the form of an enveloping black fog. It came towards us at a speed we couldn't follow. Within a few seconds, it had surrounded the vessel, and we couldn't see anything except a thick blanket of black smoke. The crew, gripped by a sense of dread, went quiet, looking for anything out of the ordinary. Lingering unease settled upon the room, as if an invisible presence had materialized within the very thoughts of the team. Suddenly, the air crackled with static electricity, and the team winced in unison, clutching their heads as a sharp pain surged through their minds. It was as if unseen tendrils had breached the barriers of our consciousness, probing the depths of our thoughts. At the same time, a piercing resonance echoed in the room. "What the hell is this ringing?" Rick stammered. Everyone clutched their ears, faces contorted with the discomfort of a shrill ringing that seemed to emanate from the very core of our beings. Amidst the psychic tumult, an ethereal voice emerged, a manifestation of cosmic intelligence that transcended the boundaries of sound. It resonated within our minds, bypassing the need for audible vibrations.
"Humans of Earth, I am grateful that you followed me here. Now I know where you come from. I will eat humanity and consume your tiny planet, just like I did this one. You have carried out your purpose."
The voice, though lacking a physical source, carried an authority that reverberated through the very essence of us. Dr. Turner had lost all composure. This can't be real. It's in our minds." "So, there was life here," Dr. Tanaka whispered. The black mist started to dissipate and collect in front of the vessel in a central spot. Within fractions of a second, the black fog grew in magnitude and accelerated away at a speed imperceptible to our eyes. "It must be headed towards Earth. We need to move, now!" I yelled, trying to get everyone's attention back to the task at hand. We had no time to be lost right now. The ship's systems flickered as the engines roared back to life, and the vessel altered its trajectory back to Earth. The team sat in silence, contemplating on what they had just witnessed and what it meant. "We need to let them know. People back on Earth," I announced, with resolution. We began to fiddle with the comms to send out a signal, messages to any station, any comms, any channel we could. But we might be too late. It will take at least 100 years for our warning to reach Earth. Humanity has approximately 100 more years to put aside their differences and come together again for something bigger and stronger this time. But I fear that no matter what we do, it will not be enough.